Guys, I am sure missing y'all and being able to read and interact, but hopefully our Google Meets goes well this week and we can plan that for every week. We are on to chapter 5, and the title is A Singing Buzzard, as incredible as that might seem. So if you remember back to the past books, we know that buzzards eat disgusting things. We know that the buzzard kind of told him a lie, and we know that him and the buzzard, dad and son, don't really get along the best. So I'm kind of curious to see if it's the same buzzard or different. So we'll see. It was a fine afternoon for a walk. The birds were chirping, the sun was shining, a nice soft breeze was blowing, and I was walking away from all the cares and responsibilities of the ranch. Yes, it was a wonderful afternoon for a walk. But as the hours passed, I began to realize that it wasn't such a fine afternoon for a 25-mile trip across the country. That's how far it was to town. And if I'd remembered how far it was, I might not have been so quick to leave the ranch. To get to town, see, I had to pass through that rough canyon country north of headquarters. Ordinarily, I could have hit a lope and made it through the rough country before dark and spend the night up on the flats, but don't forget that I had cactus spines in my feet, and that country was rough and rocky. It slowed me down, and Dad burned it. At sundown, I found myself in the middle of one of them deep canyons. And you know what that meant? This was a hostile country, home of the biggest, the meanest, the ferocious coyotes in all the county. I didn't dare travel at night, so when the sun settled down on the canyon rim, I started looking for a place to hole up. In my travels and research, I've discovered that one of the best places to hole up for the night is in a hole. So I started hunting for a hole. I hadn't been looking very long when I spotted a shallow cave up on the side of a limestone cliff. That looked good to me, so I made my way up a steep incline that no ordinary dog could have climbed. I got there on sheer strength and determination. At last, I dragged myself over the rim and lay there catching my breath. Imagine my surprise when I discovered that the cave was already occupied. Occupied means that somebody was already in the cave. I got the first clue when I heard not voices, as you might expect, but music, banjo music. I know that sounds strange, banjo music coming from a cave in a wild and remote canyon, but if there's anything I've learned in my years of security work, it's that this is a very strange world we live in. And what I heard was banjo music. I don't care what you say. Well, it had taken me 15 minutes and a considerable investment in energy to climb up to that cave, and I wasn't about to leave just because the place was occupied. I've gotten into some terrible fights over less important things. I followed the sound of the music and crept toward the mouth of the cave, and that's when I heard the singing. Every time I go to town, the boys keep kicking my dog around. Makes no difference if he is a hound, they gotta get quick kicking my dog around. Then, on the chorus, the singer tried to imitate a dog howling. Well, that was enough to convince me that he wasn't a dog. No, sir, it was a second-rate imitation. I mean, Hank the cowdog will never make an opera singer, but I do know a few things about howling. I peeked around the corner, and do you want to guess the identity of the mysterious cave musician? Here's a few hints. Big black bird, skinny neck, pot belly, ugly as 23 varieties of sin. If you guessed, Madame, the witchy owl, you're wrong. If you guessed Junior the buzzard, you win the grand prize. Yes, sir, I had by George stumbled into the cliffside home of Wallace and Junior. I could see Junior squatting on the floor, surrounded by a bunch of rabbit bones, and he had a little old banjo on his knee. Wallace came waddling out of the back of the cave. Junior, will you quit making all that noise? But, Pa, and here you are, a big strong boy, and I'm still having to bring home you dinner. But, Pa, all these years I've tried to school you, but, Papa, Pa. I taught you to fly. I taught you to ride the updrafts and soar in the sky. I taught you how to spot a dead rabbit on the highway 1/2 mile in the air. But, Papa, Pa, and here you are, a big strong boy, and I'm still having to bring you home dinner. So here's the picture. Son, you're never going to amount to anything as long as you play that banjo. But, Pa, I want to be a singer when I grow up. Oh, hush it. Don't you say that word. You mean singer? Yes, sir, that's what I mean. It's a filthy word, and no self-respecting buzzard ever wanted to be a singer. Papa, Pa, you said a filthy word. And furthermore, just then, Wallace saw me at the mouth of the cave. What is that? What's the what, Pa? That thing there. Junior turned to me and grinned. Oh, but boy, it's our doggy friend. Hi, doggy. How's it going? Old Wallace took a couple of steps toward me, stuck out his neck, and stared at me. Is he dead? Will he eat? Son, this could be tomorrow's dinner. He ain't dead, Pa, and he never has been. Wallace squinted at me. You're right, son. Go on, dog. Shoo, get out of here. This here's private property. I walked toward the old man and showed him some teeth. I'm staying for the night, Buzzard, and if you don't like it, you can try to get me off your private property. Old Wallace shrank back. Junior, did you hear that? Are you going to let a dog talk to you that way to your own daddy? I suspect I will, Pa, and he might bite me. And I guess that's more important to you than showing respect for your own flesh and blood. Your poor old daddy who's worked and slaved and scrimped and saved so you can make something of yourself. Yep, I reckon so. The old man shook his head and went off to the back of the cave, muttering under his breath. Well, I never. Darn kids. No morals, no responsibilities. Life's just a big old party. Music, banjos, and everything. Junior looked at me and grinned. I want to be a singer when I grow up, but Pa don't think I'll ever mount to anything. Well, I don't know about that, I said, but you'll never go to the top with that song you were singing. You don't even howl right. You were using the wrong technique. Hand me that banjo and I'll give you a few pointers on howling. Oh, goodness, would you? He handed me the banjo and I turned it up. As you might suspect, buzzards have a pretty poor ear for music. The banjo was badly out of tune. I got her fine-tuned and whipped out that song. Every time I go to town, the boys keep kicking my dog around. Makes no difference if he's a hound. They gotta quit kicking my dog around. Miss Johnson obviously has no tone either. On the chorus, I showed him how the howling should be done. Then I suggested we sing it together. On the chorus, he sang the melody with the words, woof, woof, bark, bark, bow, wow, wow. And I harmonized with one heck of a fine job of howling. Junior was just tickled to death with our performance. Oh, goodness, that was good. You sure know how to howl. Well, that's one of the many things you have to do. Well, if you're going to make a career in the security business, I guess you buzzards don't get too many opportunities to howl. No, Pa never taught me how to howl. Just then I heard a howl. I looked at Junior. Was that you? No, it wasn't me. Well, it wasn't me either. And it wasn't Pa. And if it wasn't me, if it wasn't you, and if it wasn't your old man, that means it wasn't any of us. You're right. And that means, I lowered my voice to a whisper, it came from someone else. We listened. There it was again. And I think I know where it came from. A couple of coyote brothers named Rip and Snort. Oh, goodness, I'm scared of wolves. Wait right here. I'll check this out. I crept over to the ledge in front of the cave and looked down. Sure enough, there sat Rip and Snort down below. "Evening, fellers. What can I do for you?" They whispered to themselves, and then Snort said, "Hank? That you, Hank? We hear singing, oh boy. We want to sing too. We're very good to sing. We have wonderful voices." Well, I certainly didn't want to antagonize Rip and Snort, since the last time we'd met I had convinced them that the moon was made out of chopped chicken liver, and it's too outrageous to explain. I want to stay on this good side. Okay, so remember back when they were going to attack him, and he convinced them that putting their heads between the log would help them get the moon down. So I'm not sure that they're such a fan of Hank. All right, fellers, we'll do the song again. And you boys can come in on the chorus and do your stuff. But if you want to sing with us, you got to go to the house rules. Coyotes don't like house rules. Coyotes are wild and happy. We have very much fun. Break the rules. Cause trouble. Oh boy. I know that, Snort, but you can't sing with us unless you follow the rules. House rules say we've got to shut down at 10 o'clock and let folks sleep. We can't carry on and on all night long. The brothers talked it over. Then Snort said, those are chicken rules. Coyotes not like chicken rules, but we'll follow. I monitored Junior over to the ledge. He seemed a little scared, but he came. Fellers, this here's Junior. Junior, down there sits Rip and Snort, couple of buddies from the wilder days. All right, boys, here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. I cranked up the banjo and me and Junior did the song again. Since Rip and Snort didn't know the words and weren't smart enough to learn them, they kind of grumbled along until we got to the chorus. Then they joined in. Boy, did they howl. They cut loose and howled up a storm. It was their kind of song. No words to memorize. If you ask me, it was a special moment in the Texas Panhandle's history. I mean, the Panhandle ain't famous for its cultural achievements, but this could very well have been the By George high point of the Panhandle culture. And I'm talking about forever. But you can't expect a buzzer to appreciate art and culture and music and stuff. So, it was no big surprise when Old Man Wallace came waddling out of the cave. What is all this noise? Junior, you quit that racket this very minute. How can a body sleep with all that rattling, ding-dong, pig-nosed, frazzling, horrifying noise? But, Pa, you put that banjo up and take yourself to bed. It's past your bedtime. You've got to get up early in the morning and go find us something dead to eat, and I don't want to hear one more word out of you. Good night. Junior looked at me and shrugged. Good night. That's 2 words, Junior, and you're in deep trouble now. But go on to bed and maybe I'll forget about it. Junior waddled off to bed. The old man shot me a glare and went over to the ledge and looked down at Rip and Snort. Y'all have to go home now. We ain't running a party now here. You hear? Go now. Scat. So poor Junior. Everyone's so mean to him. Old Man Wallace might have swung some weight in the bird world, but Rip and Snort didn't pay the slightest attention to him. Instead, they turned up and started singing the only song they'd ever memorized, the Coyote Sacred Hymn and National Anthem. Me, just a worthless coyote, me howling at the moon, me like to sing and holler, me crazy as a loon. Me not want job or duties, no church or Sunday school. Me just a worthless coyote, and me ain't nobody's fool. And while they sang, old Wallace was just fuming. Y'all better hush up that noise and go on back. Y'all hear? Now I'm gonna get mad, and I can't be responsible for what happens. I'm a warning y'all. You know what a buzzard does when he gets mad? I didn't know either, but I sure found out. He throws up on the party that made him unhappy. Throws up. Ugh. That would be bad enough if he ate decent food, but buzzards don't eat decent food. When one throws up on you, what you're getting is skunks, rats, rot, corruption, and I don't even want to talk about what else. Let's say that Wallace expressed his feelings to Rip and Snort. Let's say that they quit singing very suddenly, even though they didn't want to. Let's say that they got out of there and it became very, very quiet outside. Then Wallace looked at me. How about you, pup? I was just fixing to turn in, sir. I'm awful sleepy. Wallace went back into the cave and grumbling to himself. Danged old coyotes can't get a night's sleep anywhere. Coyotes are thinking they can carry on all night long. Chapter 6. A happy reunion with my sister. So we haven't really heard about a sister. So I'm curious to see how that's going to go. Maybe she's on a different ranch. So, all right, guys, have a wonderful, wonderful day.